When I was a sophomore in high school, I found myself in a rather precarious situation one afternoon. My stomach was in turmoil, clearly signaling an urgent need for a trip to the restroom. As I hurried down the corridor, I heard a strange whistling sound coming from the far end. As I got closer to the bathroom, I realized the source of the whistling was coming from within. I didn't think much of it at the time. All I could focus was getting some privacy for what I was about to do. I rushed into the stall, hoping to finish quickly, but the whistling continued, echoing through the bathroom. It was slightly irritating, but I couldn't do much about it. After about 10 minutes, I wondered if the person inside was a janitor, but I really wished he would leave. The thought of sharing the bathroom while feeling so uncomfortable was unpleasant. Finally, I finished and quickly walked to the sinks to wash my hands, trying to avoid eye contact with a whistling man. I was embarrassed and wanted to get back to the class before my absence raised any alarms. Just as I was about to leave, the janitor moved closer to me, stopping just a foot away. His presence made my skin crawl, and I could feel the hair on the back of my neck stand up. "What the heck?" I muttered, looking at him. When I was a sophomore in high school, I found myself in a rather precarious situation one afternoon. My stomach was in turmoil, clearly signaling an urgent need for a trip to the restroom. As I hurried down the corridor, I heard a strange whistling sound coming from the far end. As I got closer to the bathroom, I realized the source of the whistling was coming from within. I didn't think much of it at the time. All I could focus was getting some privacy for what I was about to do. I rushed into the stall, hoping to finish quickly, but the whistling continued, echoing. But I really wished he would leave. The thought of sharing the bathroom while feeling so uncomfortable was unpleasant. Finally, I finished and quickly walked to the sinks to wash my hands, trying to avoid eye contact with a whistling man. I was embarrassed and wanted to get back to the class before my absence raised any alarms. Just as I was about to leave, the janitor moved closer to me, stopping just a foot away. His presence made my skin crawl, and I could feel the hair on the back of my neck stand up. "What the heck?" I muttered, looking at him. He had a cold, expressionless stare that sent chills down my spine, followed by a disturbingly wide smile that I would never forget. Confused and unsettled, I hurried back to the class, texting my friend about the weird encounter. He responded, revealing that he had a similar experience with the same janitor. Apparently, my friend was planning to report him, but we never followed through. Later that day, my friends Elias, Peyton, and I decided to take our usual walk after school. We often explored nearby restaurants or parks, enjoying our time together. This day we chose to walk. We chose this day. This day we chose to walk to a dinner we loved. To get there, we took a familiar trail that cut through the school grounds and led into a neighborhood. It was the most fun and quickest route, and we often walked it. As we walked, we began discussing the creepy janitor with the Peyton, chiming in it about how he had heard of him, but had never encountered him. Just as we were sharing our thoughts, we spotted a man up ahead. "No way," Peyton said, squinting. "Isn't that him?" Fear gripped us as we confirmed that it indeed was the janitor. "Let's turn around," Peyton urged. I didn't respond. I just kept walking, and Elias followed. As I passed him, he stopped and stared, and then he called out, asking if he wanted to hang out. Not only was he a supposed not only he was a sup- yeah, not only he was a supposed authority figure at our school, but he was also a creepy older man, probably in his late 50s. It was just another ordinary day in 10th grade, right after third period. I remember sitting in the cafeteria with my friends, laughing and joking around like we always did. Lunchtime was our escape from classes, and we typically spent just a few minutes eating before diving into games or silly pranks. The cafeteria was filled with the usual chatter and laughter, and after a moment everything felt normal. Halfway through lunch, however, the familiar sound of the PA system crackled to life, interrupting our fun. This is an emergency alert. Please follow lockdown procedures. Go into the nearest room and lock the doors. Turn off all lights. The urgency in the principal's voice sent a chill down my spine. This didn't sound like a drill. He sounded genuinely worried, and it wasn't typical for him to skip the warning. My heart raced as I glanced at my friends, who looked just as startled as I felt. We all exchanged worried glances, trying to gauge each other's reactions. The cafeteria, usually so lively, turned into a place of confusion and fear. We were all instructed to stay put, but the panic in the air was palpable. Despite the chaos, my friends had an idea that seemed reckless at the time. They decided it would be hilarious to sneak out of the cafeteria through a side door that led to the main hallway. I don't know why I went along with it. Maybe I didn't want to be left out. Or perhaps the adrenaline of the moment pushed me to make a bad decision. Whatever the reason, I found myself following them. After wandering around in the darkened hallways, we eventually split up. It was just Andrew and me now, with a couple of our friends venturing off on their own. The dimness was unsettling. The only light came from the windows, and even that was dulled by the overcast sky. The eerie silence of the school halls was interrupted only by our whispered conversations as we tried to figure out what to do. Then, out of nowhere, we were jolted by 3 loud gunshots echoing through the halls, followed by panicking screams. My heart dropped, and a rush of fear surged through me. Andrew and I exchanged terrified glances before bolted outside, sprinting as fast as we could. We both knew we'd be easy targets if the shooter was still inside, so we didn't stop to think. Once we reached the front of the school, we knew we were sitting ducks. We quickly ducked behind the building, our hearts racing, and headed for the nearby woods. The soccer field lay between us and the safety, and as we dashed across it, I felt a mix of fear and relief. We made it undetected, but the distant wail of the police sirens grew louder. I realized the sirens were meant for the shooter, but the fear of getting caught for sneaking out loomed over us like a dark cloud. I had seen friends get in trouble for skipping school before, and I was on edge. The situation felt dire, and we were frantic, trying to keep each other calm while worrying that the police might think we were somehow connected to the shooter. As we crouched behind the trees, we could hear the chaos unfolding in the school. The sound of voices, shooting, and the crackling of radios filled the air. My mind raced with thoughts. Were they looking for us? What if they thought we were the suspects? It was a surreal moment. Here we were 2 kids hiding in the woods, and I couldn't shake the I felt grateful to be alive, yet shaken by the reality of what just had happened. It would be a day